All right. Hi, guys. This is section 1.2. We're starting on page 11. We're going to discuss formulas, how to use them to answer specific questions, how to change what variable is isolated. And the section is also called and percents, but we will not cover any percents in this section. So we're really only covering formulas. So let's start with the definition. A formula is an equation where the variables have meaning and are used to describe a relationship. So for example, maybe you've seen D equals RT, distance equals rate times time. Maybe you've seen P equals 2W plus 2L. So that would be describing a rectangle with a side width and a length. So P would be finding the perimeter. So you would add W twice and L twice because you want to find the total distance around the shape. Maybe you've seen A equals pi r squared. So if you have a circle with a radius r, A finds the area. So first we're going to work on solving a formula for a specified variable. That means they're going to tell you a particular letter in the formula that you must isolate and get completely by itself on one side. So first, you want to put all the terms with the specified variable on one side and put all other terms on the other side. If needed, you might have to factor or undistribute the specified variable out. This step is only needed when we see the specified variable twice. Then you remove the term or expression in front of the specified variable. So we're going to use all the same solving skills we've learned in section 1.1. It's just we're going to see formulas, so they're going to have a lot more letters in them. So to see how the process works, we're going to take two equations here at the bottom of the page and work to solve both of them for x. So that means x needs to be alone on one side. The first is a normal equation. We would first want to isolate 4x by subtracting 6. Now 6 can be subtracted from 18, so we can write 4x is equal to 12. Then to get x by itself, we would divide by 4. And 12 divided by 4 would end up being x equals 3. Now on the other side, 4x plus y equals 18, we're still going to do all the same steps. If there's any expression over with 4x, it first must be moved. So plus y is undone by subtracting y from both sides. We're trying to isolate the expression with the x. Now y cannot be subtracted from 18, so we can write 18 minus y. We divide both sides by 4, and we get x is equal to 18 minus y, all divided by 4. So we did the same exact steps, and we again have x isolated by itself on one side. So now we're going to do that a few more times, working with specified formulas, working on solving for a specific variable. You do not have to know what any of these formulas represent. You just have to know the process to follow to get a certain letter alone. So for the first one, A equals 1/2 BH, we are asked to isolate H. First thing I would notice is I want to get rid of that 1/2. So remember, we were working on choosing an LCD. So if we choose an LCD of 2, we can take this entire formula and we can multiply both sides by 2. Multiplying both sides by 2 will help us clear out this fraction. So 2 times A is 2A. And then 2 times 1/2, those would drop out, and you'd have BH. Now we're going to divide both sides by b, because bh is multiplication. So to get h by itself, we have to undo multiplication. So h will be equal to 2a divided by b. When you're doing these problems in MyMathLab, be very careful to keep capital letters capital and lowercase letters lower when you're entering in answers. So let's try number 2. Number 2 says that we want to solve this formula for y. That means to get y by itself. So I would first recognize that 2x doesn't have any y, so I would subtract 2x to the other side. I'm going to write negative 1/3 y equals. Now this time I'm going to write negative 2x first and then plus 6. I want to keep that variable term in front of the constant term. Now, to get y by itself, we would need to divide by negative 1/3. But to divide by a fraction means to multiply by its reciprocal. So we're going to multiply this whole thing by negative 3. So this is the reciprocal of negative 1/3. So we're going to take that all the way across. So negative 3 times negative 1/3 gives us y. Negative 3 times negative 2 gives us 6x. And negative 3 times 6 gives us minus 18. And there we have it, y alone on one side. The third one, we want to work on getting f by itself. And I have this 5/9 in front of it. Multiplying by the reciprocal this time really will only produce a new fraction on the other side. So my thinking here is to use an LCD of 9. So I'm going to multiply both sides by 9. And that will help me start working on getting rid of this fraction. So 9 times 5/9, those would cancel. So now we have 9c equals 5 parentheses f minus 32. I would probably distribute the 5. So we get 9c equals 5f minus 160. We're going to add 160 to the other side. We're going to get 9c plus 160 equals 5f. And then you're going to divide both sides by 5. So f equals 9c plus 160 divided by 5. Now you might say, hey, 5 goes into 160, so let's reduce. But order of operations would dictate you'd have to first find the top by putting in something for c, multiplying by 9 and adding 160 before dividing by 5. So you cannot just take 5 into 160. F equals 9c plus 160 divided by 5 is our final answer. For 4, I'm going to recognize that I have an LCD of 2, and I'm going to multiply both sides by 2. That will allow me to get rid of this 1/2 in the formula. So I have 2a equals, those drop out, so I have h times little b plus capital B. I'm now going to distribute my h through. So I get 2a equals h little b plus h capital B. Now I'm trying to get capital B to be isolated. It is over there, but it's also got h little b with it, so I have to subtract h little b over to the other side, because if I'm solving, I must first isolate the expression that has the specified variable, in this case, capital B. So I get 2 capital A minus h little b equals h capital B. And now I divide both sides by h. So I get a capital B equals 2 capital A minus h little b, all divided by h. Again, in this instance, the h in the top and the h in the bottom cannot be canceled because order of operations dictates subtraction in the top first before division. So 1, 2, 3, and 4 all had the specified variable we were trying to isolate only appearing once in the equation. Now, when we look at 5 and we are told to solve for h, I see it twice. CH plus DH. Now, those are not like terms because the variables do not match, so I can't add them. But I've been charged with getting h by itself on only one side. So if we go back to the page before, it says, number 2, if needed, factor out the specified variable. And it says this step is needed if the specified variable is shown twice. So what we're going to do here is we're going to say 2g equals, and we're going to think about what this would look like if h had not been distributed across. So we're going to pull it out front, and we're going to say what would be inside the parentheses is c plus d. If you would redistribute h, you'd get ch and dh. But now, instead of seeing h twice, we only see h once. To get it by itself, we undo the multiplication and we divide both sides by c plus d. So we get h equals 2g divided by c plus d. So let's try that one more time. So 6 says solve for p. We have an expression on the left, 7p, and we have an expression on the right, tp. Both have p. So first, every single expression with p must be on the same side. I am going to subtract, let's make this a little bigger for a minute. I'm going to subtract 7p from both sides, trying to pull the expressions that have p to one side. So I get 4x equals tp minus 7p minus 1. Now, on the right side, I have every expression that has the p, but I also have minus 1. It doesn't have a p, so I need to undo the subtraction with addition and move the 1 to the other side. So I get 4x plus 1 equals tp minus 7p. tp minus 7p are not like terms, but they both have the letter that we're trying to isolate. So we're going to undistribute or factor. So we're going to say, what would it look like if p was in front and not distributed across? So we'd say t times t minus 7. Then we're going to divide by t minus 7. And we get p equals 4x plus 1 divided by t minus 7. And we have p alone, only showing on one side. The other part of section 1.2 is utilizing an appropriate formula within an application. So here's the steps. First, recognize what formula will help you. Which one do you need for the job at hand? 2, you're going to substitute in the given values you know for certain variables and work on finding what you don't know. And then you're going to simplify using order of operations. So let's take our first one. As of 2009, the lowest temperature ever recorded in South Dakota was negative 58 degrees Fahrenheit. Find the corresponding Celsius temperature. There's a formula to convert Fahrenheit to Celsius, and in fact, it was given to us on page 12, problem 3. So we're going to write that down. We're going to write C equals 5/9 times quantity F minus 32. So now to do the problem, we know that F is negative 58 degrees. So we're going to plug that into the variable f. So we're going to get c equals 5/9, parentheses, negative 58 minus 32. And now we're going to follow order of operations. So we're going to work inside the parentheses first. So the 5/9 stays in front. Negative 58 minus 32 are carrying the same sign, so we add and keep the sign. So we get negative 90. If it helps, negative 90 can be thought of as sitting over 1. And now we're multiplying fractions, so we look to reduce first. So 9 in the denominator and 90 in the numerator, both are divisible by 9. So 9 divided by itself is 1, and 90 divided by 9 is 10. We're going to multiply straight across, so 5 times negative 10 is negative 50, and we've now found C. So this would be labeled in degrees Celsius. 2 says the radius of a circle is 2.5 inches. So if we draw a circle, the radius starts from the middle out only one direction. So this is 2.5. If you want to find circumference, circumference is equal to 2 pi times the radius. We're going to let pi be represented by 3.14. And we're going to plug in what we know. So C equals 2 times 3.14 times 2.5. And then we would just simply use a calculator. So we're going to open up our calculator, and we're going to take 2 times 3.14 times 2.5, and we're going to get 15.7. So our answer is 15.7. Circumference is always labeled in single units or exactly the measurement stated, so we're going to label this in inches. Now to find area, area is pi r squared. R, again, referencing the radius. Pi, 3.14. So we're going to say 3.14 times 2.5 squared. And we're going to get our calculator out again. And we're going to do 3.14 times 2.5 squared. And we get 19.625. Area is labeled in square units, so we're going to say inches squared. Problem 3. The base of the Great Pyramid of Cheops is a square whose perimeter is 920 meters. What is the length of each side of this square? So this would be helped by first drawing a picture. Right? So a square, what do we know about a square? A square has every side the same. So we are to find the length of each side of the square. So every single side, whatever it is, will be the same. So they all can be identified as x. It tells us that perimeter is 920 meters, and perimeter means to add all sides. So we could add all these x's and say we have 4x, and that represents the perimeter. But we also know that the perimeter is 920. So we really have 4x is equal to 920. Then we divide by 4. And if you don't know 920 divided by 4, simply get your calculator out and take 920 divided by 4, and you get 230. So the side of the square is 230 meters. Problem 4. The perimeter of a rectangle is 43 inches more than the length. The width is 10 inches. find the length of the rectangle. All right, so let's draw a picture first. So what do we know? We definitely know the width is 10 inches, so we're going to label this 10, and we're going to label this 10. It says find the length, so we're going to let this be x, and we're going to let this be x. Now this sentence right here, we have to translate properly. So perimeter of a rectangle means to add all sides. So if we add all the way around the picture we drew, we have x in there twice, so we'd say 2x, plus we have 10 in there twice, so we would say 20. So 2x plus 20 is our perimeter. Is means equals, so we would say equals 43 inches more than the length. More than means addition, and it's 43 more than the length, and the length we represented by x. So we would say x plus 43. And now we solve. So we subtract x. We get x plus 20 equals 43. We subtract 20. And we get x is 23. We go back and see if there was any mention of any unit label, and 43 and 10 were labeled in inches, so we label our answer in inches. So this represents our length. 5. The perimeter of a triangle is 34 inches. The middle side is twice as long as the shortest side. The longest side is 2 inches less than 3 times the shortest side. Find the lengths of the 3 sides. So let's draw a triangle. So this right here is our shortest. This is our middle side, and this right here is, actually let's fix that. This is our middle, and this is our longest. So now we have to utilize finding the comparison statements. So right here, the middle side is twice as long as the shortest side. So that's a comparison statement. It's comparing the middle side to the shortest. So if we let the shortest side be x, the middle side is twice as long. So that means 2x. Then we find another comparison statement. So the longest side is 2 inches less than 3 times the shortest side. So the shortest side is still identified as x. 2 inches less than 3 times that side means 3 times x minus 2. 2 inches less than means to subtract 2. Now the next part that's important to pick up is that the perimeter of the triangle is 34 inches. Again, perimeter means add all sides. So we take x plus 2x plus 3x minus 2, and we are equal to 34. And now we are going to solve. So we combine all of our x's to 6x minus 2 is 34. We add 2. We get 6x is 36. We divide by 6, and we get x is 6. It said find the lengths of all 3 sides. So now we go back and we plug in 6 all the way around the triangle. So shortest is 6 inches. Middle is twice that, so 2 times 6, which is 12 inches. And longest is 3 times that minus 2. So 3 times 6 minus 2 is 18 minus 2 is 16 inches. So here are our answers. Now you might wonder, well, how do I check my work? They said in the problem that all the way around the triangle was 34 inches. So 6 plus 12 plus 16 need to add to 34 inches. Now the you try problem, since you're watching this video and you're taking notes, this is an extra credit opportunity. So this extra credit is going to be worth 5 points towards exam 1. Show work on a separate sheet of paper due Friday, January 27th.